Hello again. Welcome to another Fresh from the Theater vlog, and no, I haven't done one of these in a while. Been very busy, and I thought I'd wait till spring weather to go out to the movies, and it's pretty nice here in New England, so here I am, and let's get into it. First, Fresh from the Theater vlog this year is for the getting a lot of praise horror film, A Quiet Place. Directed by John Krasinski. It's a name you need to check to remember. And it stars him and his very talented wife, Emily Blunt, who she's definitely come a long way since The Devil Wears Prada. But anyway, The Quiet Place is... I like this movie. This was a very creatively inventive horror film. It's the most inventive horror film I've watched since It Follows. It's looks like it was a reasonably budgeted movie and backed by a major studio, and has a very small cast. It's Krasinski, Blunt, and these two child actors, Millicent Simmons and Noah Jupe. And everybody in this film does a fantastic job, particularly because of the fact that there is very little dialogue in this film. The plot is a group of monsters have apparently taken over the world, and everybody who has survived has done so by remaining very quiet. Why they have to be quiet? Because these monsters follow sound. Like, they apparently can't see, and they rely on hearing, and if anybody does anything loud, these monsters will jump at it and seek it out. And this family has been able to survive for, according to this timestamp, about 479 odd days. And they've apparently been able to learn and teach their kids sign language. And throughout the film, that is what they do. And there luckily are subtitles whenever they do sign language, so those of us who aren't familiar with it can have an idea of what they're communicating. And just, this movie utilizes a lot of facial acting, which is something that I hold a lot of great respect for. People who can convey and just let you know what they're feeling, thinking entirely through their face and how expressive they can be, because it's very difficult. And I know my first short film, Break and Escape, was a little film with almost no dialogue, and had to get creative there. But enough about me. Sorry. This movie, it was amazing to watch in the theater. Like, especially when it got pitch quiet. To really let you know just how quiet things have become. There are many scenes where we don't hear much except maybe a soft breeze going by and an occasional something like that. That's another thing. The sound editing in this movie, like the editing in general and the cinematography, are fantastic. Like, a lot of great work was put into those aspects. But the sound editing, if anything else, this movie, I will be severely fucking pissed if this movie does not get nominated for Best Sound, because it deserves it. At least that. And I think it's even worthy enough to win. Just, I know from making my own small movies that sound editing is pretty much the hardest thing you can work on to get just right. And hats off to whoever did the sound editing here, because amazing. The movie is extremely suspenseful. Like, I know it's popular for a lot of people to shit on PG-13 horror movies, but this movie, it was just an incredible ride, so awesome to sit through, and I really cared about the characters in this film. Like, even though we rarely ever get to hear them speak, we grew to care about them. Everybody was able to make you care deeply about what happens to these people. And the main plot point is that Emily Blunt's character is pregnant, and they're preparing for the birth, and also what they will do to try and make sure there's as little noise as possible when she gives birth, and also what they're gonna do when the baby is born, because babies, you know what they do. And there's a lot of good psychological stuff here too, such as the oldest kid, their daughter, played by Millicent Simmons. She is deaf, so she has no idea really about how vital, just how serious the sound shit is, and just how careful she has to be to avoid making any. And I'll get into some major spoilers later, but here, I'll tell you how this film opens, because the film already opened strongly with well-established shots, a good sense of what's going on, but this movie opens with a fucking bang. How? This movie opens with a little kid getting killed by one of these monsters, and it's not too graphic, but when it happens, like, it just, I just felt like a brick to the chest. I was shocked, legitimately shocked that this film had the balls to start out that way. Just, wow. And as the film goes on, the family has to separate at one point. The father and the son leave to get food, which they eat fish from a local river, and it's on this little trip that we see, like, the only time they can ever really talk to each other vocally. The dad takes the son to this waterfall, and this was pretty cool. He talks about how the rivers are probably the safest place to talk because the current, the rapids, waterfalls, it creates so much noise that it drowns out anything that they could say. So this area is like the safest place that they could ever speak. And I don't think there's any dialogue till about 40 or 45 minutes into this movie, and there's only really two main scenes where people actually speak, and they're done pretty well. The second one gets a little emotional, like someone's crying, but they're still handled very well. Like, they save the talking bits well, and they don't overdo it or waste them. And some good drama, and it's just it's an emotional ride. The deaf daughter, we see like the stress of living the way they've been living for the past 2 years has just gotten to her. Like, being forced pretty much to revert to an almost Amish living style has just the strain it's put on her, and I guess the word stir crazy could apply here. And the parents, it's a case of they love her and they love both the kids, and they want to do everything they can to keep them safe, and it's just every moment of their fucking lives has become an adventure to make it to the next day, and it's really tense, and there are a lot of jump scares here, and they're pretty well done jump scares. Like, I know jump scares get a lot of critique these days, but these jump scares are well done, well established, and you're really scared about what's going to happen, and the music cues are perfectly put in, and I'm still new to the just saw it in the theater type of vlogging, but I really liked this movie. It was very well done. There were one or two like main parts of the plot that kind of bugged me, so from here on out, the rest of this video is a spoiler section, so if my non-spoiler descriptions of what's going on has been enough, go see this movie if it's still playing in the theaters. I know I'm a bit late as far as doing a vlog, but like I said, I've been busy, but it's still playing right now, so if you got a chance, go see it. Like, especially with the sound effects, this movie is definitely worth checking out in the theater. So without further ado, let's talk about some spoiler shit. The little kid who got killed in the beginning is the youngest sibling in this family, and he gets killed doing stupid little kid shit. And I know little kids do dumb shit, but in this situation, the parents really should have pressed. This is not something criticized, like this is all on the little kid, but they really should have pressed seriously why he shouldn't do certain things that could attract the monster's attention. And like, he found a toy, like a battery operated toy that made noise, and just couldn't resist. And the parents are like, nope, you're not getting that fucking toy. But they said nicely. But then the sister, because she likes her little brother, she gave it to him when they weren't looking. Like, she gave it to him without the batteries, but for some reason the dumb little shit decided to take the batteries and put them in and turn it on as they were walking home out in the open. And this scene is in the trailer, but I really did not expect this kid to die. It just happened and he's gone. It was a fucking just blow to the head. Just whoa, fucking I was not really disturbed or shocked by the little kid getting killed at the beginning of the It movie last year, because I knew that was coming. It's in the book, it's in the miniseries, and I wasn't really disturbed by it because I've seen too many Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci movies to be shocked by that gore that movie had. But here, without any gore, just good pacing, editing. This is the one that just got me. And the sister, she feels guilty, and she also worries that her father hates her for giving her little brother the toy that led to his death. And he tries to make it clear, he tries to show her that he cares, but he's just in general distant because of everything he's focusing on. And I don't think the sister realizes just how much he puts in. Doesn't matter what's going on, whether it be the apocalypse or not. A lot of kids just don't know what their parents go through for them. And because she's deaf, he's very protective of her. And he leaves her with her mother, who is getting awfully close to her due date. And the daughter, just frustrated, packs up her shit and leaves just to go to the place where her brother died. And this was an emotional moment. She takes out the toy space shuttle that they got her brother killed. She puts it where he got killed, and it's a good mourning scene. But while she's away, her mother, left at the house, unexpectedly goes into labor. Like, her water breaks and she tries to make it to the basement, and not realizing it, she ends up stepping on a nail, like a loose nail, and she's able to suppress her screams, but she drops what she was carrying, and that alerts a monster in the area. And the son and the father are just getting back after an encounter, and the whole final act of the film is the mother trying to suppress her screams, her pain, while the monsters are literally 5 feet away. The dad trying to save her, save the kids, and being forced to have the kids fend for themselves, and the daughter trying to save the family that she was previously disconnected from. And okay, here are the two things that I sort of have an issue with, and they're minor in general, because every horror film has a few holes in it, and these really don't impact how much I enjoyed the film. Just two things. One, the daughter, well, she is a sympathetic character. I feel a lot of what went wrong in the final act could have been avoided if this kid had just stayed at the house with her mother. She felt like she was being pushed back, and she decided, fuck it, I'm going out. But I feel if she had just stayed, some of this shit could have been avoided. I honestly think it could have been avoided. Maybe it would have gone the same way, it's hard to say. So, yeah, I feel like this girl was at fault for a few things. Possibly. I could be wrong, but just some of my initial thoughts after seeing this movie. However, she regains, I guess, some redemption moments, and she is still very sympathetic to the end. But I honestly, it would have been sad, but if she had died, I think I would have been okay with it. She doesn't. I'll get into that later. And and this is kind of my major, it's not really a major issue, it's a major question. Why the fuck is this family having another kid? When the movie starts, it says day 89. And then when it jumps to like day 470 something, it ends around 79, but so over 9 months have passed since the opening, where the shit with the monsters, the panic, the epidemic is going on. It's been a long time. Like, they were already really living in it hard when it started. So my question is, why the fuck is this family having another kid? I mean, forget the noise issue that they would have to deal with, but why would they have another kid, bring another kid into this fucking environment? I don't know. Like, maybe it was an accidental pregnancy, because you can't make any major noise, you can't use TV, so gotta do something, but could have been careful. And this seems like a case where an abortion might have been the smartest move to do. And don't tell me they could have done it, because we see in the opening scene that they have access to medicine, and after the main ordeal with the wife in labor, we see her hooked up to an IV, so they have medicine, possibly strong sedatives, and according to the Wikipedia page, the wife is a doctor. She could have trained her husband on how to do that kind of thing, just, I don't know. That's my main gripe, but they played it out the way they did, and it led to a lot of tension, and the birth was emotional and genuinely scary. I did not want to see Emily Blunt's character die, and with the newborn baby in there, the tension just got upped. And while the parents take shelter in a soundproof bunker that they've made, the son and daughter are trapped in this cornfield by their farmhouse, and they end up stuck in a silo. And next to the scenes with Emily Blunt and the newborn, the scene with the kids in the silo is probably the next most tense scene in the film. Just, they're almost gonna drown in, I think, the corn in the silo, and one of the monsters almost gets them, but it doesn't, and it gives up. And the kids, these kids are very resourceful. Like, their parents have taught them well on how to survive, but man, just, I don't know what to say. This film just kept hitting me at one after the other with all these suspenseful tension scenes. And the second scene of talking, like actual vocal talking, is with the husband and the wife in their sound bunker. And like I said, Emily Blunt gets a little, like, for anyone who's not really big on emotional scenes, they might get a little grated by this, but it was extremely well acted, and it didn't go too far with the crying, and it felt genuine, it felt real, and really established just how strong and loving these parents are, and the family in general, just how strong of a bond that they have despite whatever tension has happened before. And I had a feeling, like, I had a strong feeling that someone was going to die in this movie. I didn't know who. I really had no idea who it would be, but when it happened, it got me here. The person who dies is the father, and he sacrifices himself to save his kids who are trapped, and the monster is coming at them. And before dying, he says in sign language, in a moment that I'm sure some cynical cunt would just roll their eyes at, but I thought it was powerful, god damn it. He does with sign language, "I love you, I always have," to his daughter, and to let her know absolutely that he always loved her, despite whatever bad moments might have happened. And then he lets out an almost Tarzan-like cry and lets himself get killed by the monster, and the kids are able to get back to their mother. And the way the family defeats the main monster trying to get them at the end was pretty cool. Like, the father kept trying to make his deaf daughter a hearing aid that could really help her hear, and none of them have worked. However, this latest one, the only thing it appears it can really pick up is the noise that the monster's super sensitive hearing can pick up, and it creates kind of a staticky ping in her ear, and apparently the monster can hear the electric ping, and that it just hurts the monster's ears. So the daughter figures out what to do. She takes like this microphone, puts the ping noise right up to it, and just the volume goes all the way up, and the monster, it just drives it. It's like that scene in A Clockwork Orange where Alex is being tortured with Beethoven music, just going, and then pretty much I think the monster he just fucking died. I don't remember if anything exploded, but he went down hard. And then he gets back up, and the mother shoots it in the head with a fucking shotgun, and knowing that made a lot of noise, they look at a security cam that they've set up around their area, and they see multiple monsters running towards the house. And this movie ends on a fucking 10 out of 10 badass cliffhanger. Like, I honestly thought it was going to continue going on, but it ended at the perfect moment for a cliffhanger. And I hear that there's a sequel in the works, so I can't wait to see what happens. The monsters are coming. The daughter clicks on the microphone, is holding her hearing aid, and the mother just cocks the shotgun. It almost makes you want to go groovy. And then the credits roll. It was just a extremely suspenseful ride, and very good psychological moments that very subtle, but they're there. And like I said, just through the facial acting, gestures, a lot is conveyed, and not just the dialogue moments, like the 2 dialogue scenes we get, but whenever someone screams, it fucking means something. Like, you really feel the either pain or emotion of the characters. I told you about the father when he sacrifices himself, but there's a scene where when he's in the sun or out on their fish gathering trip, they come across an old man who's standing in the woods with the dead body of his wife. And it's unclear if she got killed by a monster or if the old man did something to it. I really can't tell, but I think it was the monsters, the more I think about it. But the old man, he just looks broken, like he's just had enough. He looks at the father and son, and knowing what he's gonna do, the dad grabs his boy and they run, and then this old man just you can feel he's like, it's my time. He just screams and lets the monster come and eat him. Just had enough. The other scream that really meant something was the mother when she's hiding from the monsters before she gives birth to her new kid. She's in the bathtub hiding, and her water's broken, and in the tub we see blood oozing from her vagina. Once again, not graphic, it's a PG-13, but we see the blood coming out, and she has done a phenomenal job holding everything in, either by just keeping herself shut or biting down on something, and the moment's come for the kid to just pop out, and she just lets out a harrowing scream, and just, I was legitimately, my heart just, I was so scared that she was going to die right there, but the son and dad, luckily at that right moment, had set off an explosion with a firework because they knew the monsters were in the area, and that distracts them enough for them to get in there and save her and the new kid. And that's pretty much the majority of what I have to say about the story in the film. One other thing that I think is pretty effective is when we get these silent moments is it goes pitch silent and we hear the heartbeats. And the most beautiful moment in the film that just completely devoid of anything scary going on is when the mother takes a stethoscope and puts it over her pregnant belly and listens to, I would guess, the baby's heartbeat, and that was a touching moment. But we get many moments where they really show the fear, the tension, as we hear heartbeats from everybody in a very extremely tense scene, and I repeat, sound editing in this film, phenomenal. Other than that, John Krasinski, not only did he star in and direct this movie, he also co-wrote it with Brian Woods and Scott Beck. Brian Woods has also, he's also written Nightlight, Impulse, and Scott Beck has also written, looks like they're a team. And the thing that this is funny just knowing all the flack this motherfucker gets. This movie was produced, and it's there, and like it's a pretty big credit, and I get the feeling he wanted it to be known that he produced this movie. A Quiet Place was produced by Michael Bay. And I'm actually not a Michael Bay hater, but I know a lot of people really fucking hate him for the movies he's directed and even the movies he's produced. Like, his producing record is not as good as his directing record. And let's see, movies he's produced have been the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street remakes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies with Megan Fox and Will Arnett, and I believe the Purge movies. And John Krasinski had previously acted in his movie 13 Hours. So I feel like there was a lot of favors going on here. Like maybe after a rapport has been built. This is all just speculation. I'm not going to say it for sure. But yeah, this extremely well made, not over the top movie was produced by Michael Bay, and At the end of the movie, like before the credits scroll up, we see Paramount Pictures presents in association with Michael Bay. And I'm like, he put that credit there. He wanted that specific credit to be there so he can be like, oh yeah, I produced this fucking awesome horror movie. But back to John Krasinski. It's a pretty impressive feat when somebody can direct and star in a movie. I've done it with my first short film, and it's a lot of work. And to do it on a big movie like this, for anybody, it's extremely impressive. And he and Emily Blunt, they all acted their parts very well, and the child actors here were great. They were not annoying, and Noah Jupe, he felt like a real little kid in peril, just afraid but sucking it up and being brave enough to help save everybody. And Millicent Simmons, while her character is the most flawed of everybody in this movie, she has the best face as far as being able to act with her facial muscles. She has a very expressive face, and she can, of everybody, she's the one who's able to tell you the most what she's feeling, thinking, what she's going through, just by how she looks. And this is her second movie, from what I've read, and I think this kid has a future. Like, I don't know how she'll do as an adult actress if she decides to continue onward, but she did a phenomenal job here. Like, it's very rare for someone to get an Oscar nomination for a role where they don't speak, but like anybody in this film, I feel could be deserving of an Oscar nomination. Her especially. Who knows? Horror movies had a pretty good winning streak at this year's Academy Awards, so could happen. I don't know what else to say. I would give this movie on the 10-star scale on 8.6. And on the 5-star scale, I'd give it a 4.5. If this movie is still playing in a theater near you, go fucking see it. And if you're not a theater person, if you missed it, I feel it'll be just as effective on home video. Like, turn out the lights and make sure no one else is around unless you're watching it with someone you know is not a big bitcher. And the sound effects will have the same impact. And my one theater-going complaint, well, two, actually, is because this is such a quiet movie, the movie next to me, Super Troopers 2, it got a little too fucking loud at certain moments. And there was this old couple in the theater who kept talking. Like, they were not loud, but they kept talking throughout, and I didn't say anything, but I was tempted to just look over and be like, will you keep it down? Seriously, it's a movie. No one goes there to hear people. That's about it. Hope you've liked this fresh from the theater vlog, and see you next time. And if you like this video, check out my other videos. Check out the videos on my second YouTube channel, Movie Buff Reactions, and if you like what you see on both channels, subscribe. Later.